Hi Stampers, I'm Nancy Novak and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, tonight we're going to think outside the rectangle because we're using the Everyday Arches stamps and dies. So this is a nesting die set of 10 different arches, and then we have the cute little stamp set that the little sentiments will fit inside the arches, or you can use them in different ways. So I've got 3 cards that we're going to make tonight, and if you love Sale-a-Bration, you'll want to stick around because I'm using some of the freebies that you can earn right now. Okay, so for the first and second card, we're going to use this designer series paper. It's a pack of 12 sheets, 12 by 12, and it's called Bloom Impressions. And this is a free Sale-a-Bration choice. It's gorgeous paper, beautiful florals, beautiful colors, and then on the other side, it has more muted type scenes for you to use, or designs for you to use. So that paper we're going to use on the first 2 cards. So let me show you the first card. So what I did with this one was I used the arches to create that little heart. And then right down here, that's the stamp set that I told you I was going to show you more of, and that's called Corner and Bloom. So if you watched last week's video, you saw my wedding card that I made, and we're going to use it again today in just a little bit of a different way. So let's get started. So we're going to have a card base of garden green, and it's 11 by 4 1/4. I scored it at 5 1/2. And then for the front, I have a piece of watercolor paper. And then for the inside, I have a piece of white. And then all I need is a scrap of that pretty designer series paper. Again, that's called Bloom Impressions. It's got pretty, this one has pretty pinks on each side. And then I have a scrap of white. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my dies. And when I talk about the dies, I am going to call the largest one die 1, and then we'll go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 will be the smallest. And on this one, I used die 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is die 7. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out 2 arches out of this piece of paper, and I'm going to flip-flop it because I want the pretty stitched edging to show up on this side. And then after I cut that out, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put the die on that side. That way the stitching will be on the more prominent side when we put our heart together. So I'm going to cut those 2 pieces out really quick. Remember, I fast forward, so I will be right back. Okay, so those are the 2 pieces that I just die cut. And now I'm going to bring in that scrap of white, this piece right here. And I'm going to bring in the smallest die, so die number 10. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it out just like that. And then I'll be back because I'm going to show you how we're going to make it curved at both ends. Okay, so that's the piece that I have. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the straight edge into my die cut machine. And this kind of just fits exactly right. And it kind of, the little stitched edges kind of make it notched in there, so it kind of holding it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through my die machine just up to here, just to get the curved part cut. And the rest is going to be exactly the same because, like I said, it fits perfectly on here. So I'm just going to run this through just until that curve gets through, and then I'm going to rewind it, reverse my turn, and not cut the rest of it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have a complete oval, and I'm going to use that for our sentiment on this card. And we're going to go ahead and create our heart. And all you do to create the heart is to overlap it just like that. So you can decide what way you want your heart to look. If you want, you could have both sides of the designer series paper showing like that, or you can flip it over and have one side of each of the pieces showing. Or you could have this one on top if you like that. But the way I did it was just like that. But it's pretty, whichever way you choose, it's going to be really pretty. So all I'm going to do is I'm kind of have my heart put together like that. I'm going to put my fingers right here, and I'm just going to put glue on the bottom of this arch. And then I'm going to attach it to the other arch. And that's it. That creates our pretty little heart. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in our front white piece. And I originally said watercolor paper because on the card, my original card, I used watercolor pencils for the next step. but I'm going to use my Stampin' blend, so I can use just a regular piece of white cardstock. So I have my front piece right there. I've got the cute heart that we made, and then our white piece, which is going to go up here, is going to be for our sentiment. So I'm just kind of dry fitting it where I want that to go, and I'm going to bring in a stamp from the corner in Bloom, and I'm going to use this one right here, but I'm going to use it in a different way. These obviously are meant to go in the corner, but I'm going to go ahead and position it right underneath our heart, and I'm going to use Memento black ink, and then I'm going to color it in with our Stampin' blends. Okay, that's perfect. So see, that's why I dry fitted this heart, because I want to make sure that I have the stamped image exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to color the stamped image using Pretty in Pink, Granny Apple Green, and Melon Mambo. So I'm going to go ahead and color all this in. I'm going to use, since this is so tiny, I'm going to use the little tiny tip of all of my stamping blends. These images are small, so I don't have to really use light and dark and do a lot of shading. If you want, you could, after you're done, go back and color in near the base of the flower, the center of the flower, just to make it a little bit darker. But I think we're going to do fine just by coloring, simply coloring them all in. Okay, so now that I have all that colored in, I'm going to run this through this embossing folder, the dotted circles or the circle dots. And when I get done, you'll see how pretty it is. Okay, I absolutely love this embossing folder. It is very, very beautiful. It just adds a lot of texture and it just really makes your card pop. Every time I use it, you just go, wow, that is absolutely gorgeous. So again, I will have a project sheet for all the cards that we're making tonight. And if you signed up for my newsletter, it'll come right to your email address right after this video. And if you're not a subscriber yet, there's a link in the description below this video. You can sign up. And if you're watching this on replay and you missed getting that email, you can scroll down to the very bottom of this video and there'll be a link there for tonight's project sheet. But sign up for my newsletter because it's really the easiest way to get that free project sheet. And it will have all the supplies that I used, all the colors that I used, the sizes, everything you need to recreate this card for yourself. Okay, so let's bring this piece back in. So I am going to use Granny Apple Green ink, and I'm going to stamp hello on our little sentiment oval there that we created. And if by chance you wanted this to be a Valentine's card, you could always put another sentiment here. Let me just turn this over. So that says, be mine, and you could put that there, and Happy Valentine's Day on the inside, and you'd have a great Valentine's Day card. But I'm going to make a thank you card using the sentiments from the stamp set that we're using, the Everyday Arches. So let's pop up our heart and our sentiment, and then we'll go to the inside of our card. Okay, let's bring our inside white piece, and I'm going to use the sentiment, thanks and so very much, for the inside. And I will stamp that in the Granny Apple Green. And I went ahead and I put both of the stamps on one block. Really pretty font. And then I'm going to bring a piece of this designer series paper in and put it right at the bottom, and then we're going to glue everything to the inside and the front of our card, and then we'll put a couple of embellishments on and a bow. And I think I'll put a couple of embellishments right up there. Just added a little bit of shimmer, and there is card 1. Isn't that fun how we made the heart with the arches and then inside? Very pretty thank you card. So let's go on to card number 2. So on this card, I created a window scene using the arches and then a sweet little window box full of flowers. And the flowers are from the Hearts and Hugs stamp set. So for this card and the next card, we're going to be using the Hearts and Hugs stamp set and dies. So let me show you the dies really quick. So the dies cut out all the little animal images, and then there are several flower images, and then we have grass and stem images, and then we have a heart arch, and then we have some little hearts, and we also have a banner. So we'll come back to this in a minute. Let's go ahead and create our window arch. So for this card, I have Azure Afternoon as our card base. And I have a piece of white for the inside and a piece of white for the front. Again, I'll have all that information, the sizes and the supplies on your project sheet. And then I have several scraps for the flowers and the stems. So we have green apple green, pumpkin pie, pretty in pink, melon mambo, and daffodil delight. So let's go ahead and create the arch first. Okay, so we have our 10 dies, and I am going to take the second largest one, so die number 2, and then I'm going to skip 2 and go to die number 5. So again, I counted from the outside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to take and put the cutting side down, and I'm going to center this one right in the middle, and I'm going to use my little Post-it tape to make sure it's even. And I'm going to run that through the cutting machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that we cut out of the middle, and now we have our window arch. Now I'm going to bring in a scrap piece, and I want this scrap piece just to fit behind this arch. So you can use one of the arches to cut out that shape again, and I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to cut it out with the same arch that we cut our window out. So that's arch number 2. So I'm going to cut that out really quick. My scrap's a little bit smaller, but it's not going to matter because it's not going to show when I glue it behind here. So just let me give this a little cut really quick, and I'll be right back. So like I said, this scrap doesn't have to be perfect. We just want it to be hidden behind this window. But before I glue it, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to bring in Memento black ink, and I'm going to use the sentiment, "You are simply fantastic." So it fits really nicely inside that arch right there. So I have that inked up in Memento black ink, and now I'm going to stamp right inside that arch. Just like that. Isn't that cool how it fits inside there? Okay, so I'm going to glue these two pieces together. And now I'm going to bring in a scrap of blueberry bushel, and we're going to use some of the dies from the Hearts and Hugs. So I'm going to use this banner, and I'm going to cut that out, and this is going to create our window box. And I'm just going to bring in my paper snips, and I'm going to use that angle and that angle, and I'm just going to trim off that bottom part. And that's going to be my little window box. So this one here we need to pop up with our dimensionals, and then we're going to put our little flower and stems and grass behind the window box. So when I put dimensionals on, I'm going to put them right at the bottom. That will leave me some room up at the top to push all the little flower stems in. So I'm just going to use little half dimensionals. And I put it right at the bottom of our window. I actually used the little dotted line as a little score line for me, or a little baseline. Okay, this is where all of our scraps come in. So I have garden green, and I'm going to use that die right there which cuts out grass and stems. And then we have flower dies. So I basically need 2 of each one. And so what this is there's a die that's got 2 flowers, but it actually cuts out 2 flowers separately, a larger one and a smaller one. And then we have 2 more dies, same thing, a larger flower and a smaller flower. I'm not sure why that's connected and this isn't, but you get the same end result. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a large flower and a small flower in my 4 different colors. So Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, Pretty in Pink, and Pumpkin Pie. I'm also cutting out 2 of the stems. Okay, so I have all those pieces cut out. So we'll bring our window back in, and I'm going to put one of the flower stems right there. And then this one, if I put it right there, it covers up my word you. So I'm actually going to cut off the little end and move things around a little bit. So I'll be able to place that one right there. And then this one I'm going to put off to the side, kind of like that. So I'm going to glue the grassy stems in, and then we'll put our flowers down. Okay, so a couple of tips here. So you notice I'm using my tweezers when I'm using such a fine type die image. You don't want to get your fingers too gluey, so tweezers do help. And then I have my silicone mat here, and I kind of like to just blot those fine images down, get that extra glue off, and just blot it right on your silicone mat. And then I can go ahead and place this in. Kind of use your tweezers and your fingers, and I'm kind of angling it off to the right. You can even move these stems around so they go wherever you want. Okay, so next we're going to place our flowers, but before we do, and since I have my silicone mat here, I want to show you guys a little trick. So if you're a subscriber and you've seen my YouTube videos, you've probably seen me do this before, but if you're brand new, I want to show you this trick. So it's basically how to clean your silicone mat. So I'm sure you can see there's a bunch of glue, dried up glue, and a little bit of wet glue on there. So I'm just going to take one of these rollers, you can get these at the dollar store or wherever, and I'm just going to run it over my silicone mat, and that's going to pick up all the glue. So it's a really easy way to clean it. And it does work better if the glue is dry, but it works either way. And so cleaned all that glue, a little bit of glue right here. It's a little bit damp. I'll do that again. But it cleans it off really quick and easy. And I wanted to show that to you if you're new to this channel. And if you are new, please click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us. And I am here every Wednesday at 7. And my videos are very short and quick and to the point. I fast forward through all the boring stuff and get right to the good stuff, all the stuff that you want to see. And again, I do have free project sheets, and all you need to do to have that emailed to you is to sign up for my free newsletter. Okay, so I have all these flowers. I have more here than I need. And the easiest way for me to apply them without getting too messy is I'm going to put a glue dot where I want the flowers to go, and then I'm just going to attach the flowers. So I'm going to bring in my glue dots and just attach them here and there and stick those flowers down. Okay, so that's what it looks with the flowers on there. And of course you can pick whatever colors you want for your flowers. And I forgot I wanted to stamp one more thing here. I wanted to stamp the birds. So this has airplanes, it has little stars, it has a hot air balloon, and it has these birds. So I'm going to stamp the birds right in the middle there with boho blue. Okay, I'm going to bring the inside piece in and stamp that, and then I'm going to glue the inside, and then we're going to pop up the front on the front of the card. Okay, so for the inside, I'm going to stamp this great big happy birthday. And this is a great basic stamp set. It's called With You in Mind. And I used this last week. So if you missed last week's video, you'll be able to see it. There actually will be a link at the end of this video. It's a great basic stamp set. And I gave you about three or four different ideas on how to use this. So I'm going to bring in the Memento black ink. So again, this sentiment, "You are simply fantastic," goes with pretty much any of these. You can do thank you, happy birthday, best wishes, and thinking of you. So great versatile stamp set, both with you in mind and the everyday arches. So let's bring our card base in. And I'm going to glue the inside, and then we're going to pop up the front. So if you are new and you're enjoying these videos, don't forget to subscribe and sign up for my newsletter so you get the free project sheet. If you're watching on replay and you missed the email for the project sheet, just scroll to the bottom of this video and there's a link at the very bottom that says project sheet. This little tool is called a Pick-a tool. It has several different tips, and I'm just using the pointy tip to take off that backing on the dimensionals. And there is card number 2. And you know what? I got to bring back in card number 1 because I just noticed I forgot to add a bow to it. So I have a white bow, just created it out of that white ribbon. And I'm going to put the bow right over here, off to the side. So I put a little glue dot there, and I'm putting the bow right here. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is I think it's kind of important because the flowers kind of extend a little bit further this way, and the hello is over here. So I thought by putting the bow there, it kind of balances this whole card out. So I want to make sure that you saw where I put my bow. Okay, so there's card number 1, card number 2, and coming up is my favorite. I'm very excited to share this with you. So I hope you're enjoying creating these cards with me. And if you feel inspired and want to add this fantastic stamp set and dies to your crafting collection, you can find the links in the description below this video. Also, make sure you visit my blog because I have great big pictures of all of tonight's cards for you to see. And also the supplies will be there. And if you shop with me, I really appreciate you supporting me. And one more thing, if you're watching my video and you're liking it, please give it a thumbs up. Every time you guys click that thumbs up icon down below this video, it helps my video channel grow, and I really appreciate it. And your likes inspire me to create more cards. Okay, are you ready? I love this card. It's so cute. Again, I'm using the hearts and hugs and the everyday arches, and this has got a lot of arches in it. And then when you open it, it's still an arch. It says sending a big hug, so it's there when you need it. And again, this is the sentiment from Hearts and Hugs. So I use that little mouse right there, and he's hugging that heart. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we used a lot of arches on this one. And this one was kind of difficult for me to wrap my head around. So make sure you get that project sheet because I number all of these arches for you so you know which ones to use. So we're using a Melon Mambo card base, and it's 11 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 4 1/2. So it's going to open this way. And then I have a piece for the inside. And then I have 3 pieces, Melon Mambo, Garden Green, and White. And I also have a smaller scrap of white. So we're going to cut arches out of all of these. And then I have a scrap for our little mouse that we're going to stamp and die cut. And then I have a piece of this pretty designer series paper. And this is the Toadstool Garden designer series paper. And again, this is a free choice in the Sale-a-Bration catalog. But it's not just one sheet. You obviously get a whole bunch of 6 by 6 paper. And I used some of this last week. It's so bright and beautiful and versatile. So I think it's really a great choice, and 48 sheets. So that's really a good deal for free, right? With your Sale-a-Bration purchase. And again, $60. And then you get to choose a free product out of the Sale-a-Bration catalog. So I have all that information on my blog, or you can always email me and ask me any questions. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, so I am happy to help you with all your stamping questions. Okay, I think what we're going to do first is we're going to stamp our cute little mouse. And I'm going to stamp him in Memento Black. And then I'm going to bring in Melon Mambo. And I'm going to stamp Sending a Big Hug. So I colored the mouse in with the Stampin' blends, and I used Light Petunia Pop and Melon Mambo. So as you can see, he's hugging a heart. So I'm going to make that heart Melon Mambo, and I'm going to color him in. I think I'll bring in a little bit of pretty in pink first and do his nose and his ear. So it's really tiny, so I'm just going to use the skinny end of my Stampin' blend. So when you use the stamping blends, just use a real light touch. Okay, so I'm going to cut the mouse out, and we're also going to cut our words out, and then we'll do our arches. Okay, so there's our mouse, and then for the words, we're going to cut each one out into a little square. Okay, so everything is all cut, and see, this is how we're going to put the words on our card. But let's make all these arches now. Okay, so for our card base, we're going to use the largest die cut, the largest arch, so arch number 1, and I'm going to put our die face down, and I'm going to make sure that the top part of it, the straight part, is off of the fold. So you can see there's a tiny little gap right at the top, and that's how I'm going to cut this out. So let me do that first, and I will be right back. Okay, so again, we don't want that top edge to cut out our fold. So we want to make sure that there's a space right there at the top when you cut this out. And then the fold will stay intact. And then it'll be kind of tight because it's got little dotted lines in there, but it does separate very easily. And that creates your arch. And now we're going to bring the next one in. So die number 2, just a little bit smaller, and we're going to cut out our Pretty Designer Series paper with that one, and also the inside white piece. So that's die number 2. Okay, so we have our inside white piece and our Designer Series paper. And if you use the same paper as me, I cut it with the horizontal stripes going that way. I think it looks really pretty that way. So this is going to layer right on the front, and it just nests right inside our card base. And then this one's going to fit on the inside, just like that. Okay, so to make this easy to understand, I'm going to take these 3 pieces, and I'm going to use die number 4, and I'm going to cut out each one of these with die number 4. So we'll have 3 arches, and I'll be right back. So that's our arches. They're all cut out with arch number 4. And then here's our little scrap, and we're going to cut that out with arch number 8. So that's that one. That's the one our mouse is going to go on, and our sentiment. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to cut out one more arch in the middle of the Melon Mambo and the Garden Green. So Melon Mambo, we're going to use arch 6, and the Granny Apple Green, we're going to use arch 8. So I'm going to center those, and I'm going to cut them out. So this is why you want to make sure you get your project sheet, because I'm going to give you all of the arches that you need to cut out. Once you have that all in front of you, it's really easy to do. The Melon Mambo, and we cut a hole out of the Garden Green. And these pieces are extra. We're not going to use them for today's projects. And I think before we put all this together, let's go ahead and stamp the inside. So we'll bring this piece in, and I'll bring back in the Melon Mambo. And we're going to stamp right on the inside, so it's there when you need it. So the front is going to say Sending a Big Hug, so it's there when you need it. And then we also have this cute little heart stamp, and we're going to stamp that in Petunia Pop. I think I actually stamped my original one in Fresh Freesia, but Petunia Pop works too. So I'm going to glue the inside piece and the front Designer Series paper on, and then we're going to create all those arches. So my project sheet for the hearts is going to say Fresh Freesia, not Petunia Pop, but they both work. They're very similar. I just love how all of these nest together. So like I said, if you are interested in this bundle, it's an online exclusive, so you won't see it in any catalog. But I will have the link in the description below this video and also on my blog and on your project sheet. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and put these together. And it's got the white ones on the bottom, and then the Granny Apple Green, and then the Melon Mambo. And if you want, you can actually put a dimension on the back of these to create more depth. That's why I cut them the way I did. Okay, so those are all glued together. And if you happen to see a little bit of an edge underneath, you can go ahead and trim it away. Just be careful you don't cut that top Melon Mambo piece. Okay, so this piece here, our mouse is going to go on this piece here, right here, this little arch that we cut out, and our sentiment. You could put the mouse right there, but I liked the little stitching that shows when you cut it out with the arch. So I am going to glue that right there, and then I'm going to pop our mouse up and glue our words down. Okay, this piece is going to be popped up on the front of the card, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and tie a Fresh Freesia bow around the top here. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the back so that ribbon doesn't move. This Fresh Freesia ribbon is also one of the celebration items that you can choose. So we're going to pop that up. And I'm going to put a couple of little gems on here, make it sparkle. Isn't this card adorable? I love that little mouse. And this paper, absolutely pretty. And then the way the Fresh Freesia matches, it's very, very nice. So let's bring in all of our cards. So the everyday arches. Here's one that we use the arches to make the heart, which I think is just so pretty. Very pretty thank you card. And then here we use the arches to create a window. Put some pretty Designer Series paper, and then all those beautiful flowers in the window box. And then my favorite, definitely used a lot of the arches in making this card. And I love the colors and that cute little mouse. So let me know which card is your favorite. So if you enjoyed creating these cards, again, we used the Everyday Arches bundle. There's a link for that right in the description below this video. We showed how to combine this with a couple of our other stamp sets. So we used it in a lot of different ways. I hope you were inspired. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to our video. I'm here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to have you join us. And visit my blog so you see nice big pictures of tonight's cards. Thank you for joining me. Don't be shy. Stamp and shout.